Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich. This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, with updates on the New Orleans restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining us, of course, are Poppy Tooker, host of Louisiana Eats on WWNO Radio. Hey, Poppy. Great to see you. Hello, dear. Ian McNulty, food writer for the Times-Picayune, New Orleans Advocate.
Hi, Peggy.
Hi, Ian. Hello. And joining us for the first time in a very long time, Doug MacCash, who covers the city's arts and culture scene, also for the Times-Picayune New Orleans Advocate. Later on, we'll be visiting with theater critic Alan Smason. But hey, Doug, it's great to see you.
Nice meeting you.
Hi. Poppy, the Crescent City Farmers Market, which, you know, is usually all around the town, is thankfully at least in one place these days.
Oh, Peggy, I am so proud of the work of the whole crew over at the Crescent City Farmers Market. I think you'll remember a few weeks ago, we talked about their one-time drive-through market that they did at Parkway Bakery. Well, instead of just rushing to keep things rolling, they pulled back. They interviewed everybody, vendors, customers, and they looked at what was safe and what needed to be tweaked. And I am so proud to tell you that they actually built a new app. They got all the vendors on the app, and that is a huge thing in and of itself. And everybody has until 11 o'clock tonight to just go to the Crescent City Farmers Market site, where you'll be able to click through and make your order for this Sunday. The drive-through market is back at Parkway Bakery. You're going to approach from Jefferson Davis Parkway and basically line up near where the old brake tag station is for those of us who, Lafitte Street. And so
adaptive reuse here.
A brilliant reuse. And so this is a complete no contact system that they have worked out. So you open up your trunk, and as you go through the market, the food will be put in your trunk. No contact with anybody. I am so proud of them, and it looks like this is going to be an ongoing program for them. So bravo. To see them continue to innovate and create with their original mission in mind, taking care of both the consumers and the vendors. I'm so thrilled by their work.
Such good news. Thank you, Poppy. And Ian, we are all pretty much in mourning for no Jazz Fest this weekend. But you have a little bit of news about some of those food vendors.
Well, Jazz Fest is canceled this year, that's true, but the cravings for certain Jazz Fest foods, absolutely not canceled. I can tell you that. This is just the time of the year that people expect to eat certain dishes that they always see out there. And that really underscores how special the food at Jazz Fest is. This isn't just another, festival food, get them fed, any kind of thing. Even by the high standards of Louisiana food festivals, Jazz Fest stands apart. The vendors come back every year. They often bring back the same dishes. This is how you make rituals and traditions out of your food out there. Well, I spent a bit of time rounding up every bit of information I could about the vendors that still have food available to you. Even though the festival's not on, you can get food direct from a lot of them, Peggy. Over 24 I found with many different items. Some of them are doing it in different ways. There are some pop-ups happening. For instance, I think most people who have been out there have seen the crawfish sacks, those neat little packages filled with crawfish with the oyster patty next to it and the crawfish beignets, that combo plate. That comes from Peyton's caterers out in Slidell, and they're going to be doing a pop-up Friday and Saturday to sell it direct to the people. Crawfish Monica, another classic Jazz Fest dish, has teamed up with Cottage Catering, maker of crawfish strudel, and that great white chocolate bread pudding. And they're doing pop-ups each day of this weekend and next at Mahoney's down on the French Quarter. To shop around. Go to NOLA.com. I have a story that lists where you can get food direct from restaurants like Jamila's with their wonderful crawfish bisque, Benchin with that Jama Jama. There's lots and lots of options. The story on NOLA.com breaks it all down with the details.
All right, thank you. And Doug, I know we have to perhaps around the Bayou St. John, that is, be mindful of alligators, but now we need to be mindful of alligator warning signs.
Yeah. You'll be happy to know this is not a story about COVID-19. This has nothing with it. It's about subversion, sarcasm, and reptile phobia. So apparently, at about the new year, some government agency or the other planted signs around the bayou warning people that there were alligators in the area, which is true. Not everybody approved of the signs. Some people thought they were unsightly. So one person, subversive artist, started replacing the signs with alligator warnings of his or her own conception. And some of them are amazing. There's one that replaces English with hieroglyphics, but it's perfectly clear. Look out for the alligators. Another one uses the old Pac-Man game with pastel alligators chasing canoeists around the bayou. Yet another one uses Bobby Charles's "See You Later, Alligator" music to warn people that there are big reptiles at hand. And it tickles me. It's wrong, wrong, wrong. People shouldn't take down public signs and repurpose them.
And we don't know who it is,
anyway.
do we? We don't know who it is, do we?
We do not. I tried to get somebody to give me a call, and I heard from a friend of a friend who assured me it was one person, and that's about all I know.
Okay.
That one person said that they were a representative of something called the Bayou Aesthetic Authority, but I think that is somewhat short of being an official branch of anything.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Back over to Poppy. Dickie Brennan has news, huh?
Well, before I say that, I just want to tell Ian that I'm very distressed. Normally, that's my beat, what we're eating at Jazz Fest, and you have not helped me have a pork chop in my purse today, like I normally do for this show. So thanks a lot, Ian. Now, on to some big news from Dickie Brennan and Company. They had an idea to open up a commissary that was originally going to service Dickie's restaurants. Well, that has morphed a little bit through the help of the third generation, the new generation, which includes Richard III and also Sarah Brennan, Matthew Pettis, and Jordy Brower. We have a picture of them at the new commissary to go because the business model morphed, and now starting next Thursday, you can order delicious food that you can pick up to go. Rotisserie chicken with duck fat fingerling potatoes and crawfish étouffée, rotating daily specials that you know and love from Dickie's restaurants, like redfish on the half shell and andouille crusted fish, and crab meat cheesecake from the Palace Cafe. We all love that. And on weekends, they're offering do-it-yourself packages from the various restaurants. So there's a grill package from the Steakhouse. There's a pizza package from Acorn. There's add-ons like turtle soup, and the cream spinach and potatoes au gratin from Dickie Brennan's Steakhouse. All these yummy things, including wine, beer, batched cocktails. I'll have a great big gallon of milk punch to go. And you just pre-order between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. for pickup between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. And that, of course, is running Thursday through Sunday.
And this is the Orange Street. Is that the Lower Garden District or?
Where Orange Street is, it crosses at Tchoupitoulas. It's way downtown. It's where Tchoupitoulas is going downtown, almost at Mardi Gras World.
Okay, a little map questing.
Right on
Mardi Gras World, that's a good one. Okay, thank you, Poppy. Ian, some good news about some restaurants reopening, at least for curbside, huh?
Well, it's been a pretty crazy, few weeks here? Think back to February. Think about how far ago you have to think in your mind to when things were normal. Well, things keep changing. Restaurateurs' plans are changing day by day, it seems. Attitudes are changing. The rules are changing. The sort of the public acceptance of what we all have to do to get through this are changing. And so it's no surprise that restaurants are changing too. And what we've seen recently is restaurants that initially closed down are, in some cases, starting to return on different terms. The Link Restaurant Group is a great version of this. They immediately started to do takeout from their restaurants right after the shutdown. Well, then they said, okay, no, we're going to consolidate this. We can do this better at one spot. And they said, no, we're not going to do it at all for a little while. We're going to take a break. Well, they took a break, they regrouped, and now they're back with their restaurant Butcher being sort of a hub for takeout from a number of their restaurants. A lot of their dishes are going through their little boulangerie, their bakery uptown, also reopened. But different restaurants, different strategies. The theme is some people who shut down, they had a little time to think about it, to reorganize their operations. And critically, Peggy, this is the point, they were watching the public. A lot of restaurants that shut down in the beginning were just unnerved by the way that many of their customers simply were not understanding social distancing measures. And it's very easy to see. You go to a restaurant, you're at ease, we're normally relaxing in these places. It's very easy to slip up. Well, in the intervening weeks, I think most people now take it very seriously. They understand keeping their distance. A lot more people are wearing masks in public. A lot of restaurateurs thought, okay, it's safe for my employees to reopen for takeout. Theo's is a great example of that.
That's great news.
5 pizzerias around the area. Juan's Flying Burrito getting back in the action in a similar way. Station 6 is set to reopen next week.
Oh,
in
wow.
Uptown.
Good.
Really popular spot. We're glad to see back. So if the moral of the story is, if you've seen a restaurant close down, you thought, I really missed that place, check in with them. There's a good chance that they may have come back on new terms or maybe fixing to do so soon. It's a long haul out there. So we're glad for any of these restaurants to figure out their own way forward.
Thank you so much. Back to Doug. Doug, we have someone who definitely is working plein air on Frenchmen Street these days, huh?
It's true. I don't know if you've been down to Frenchmen Street since the coronavirus crisis, but the nightclubs and restaurants aren't just closed, they're boarded up. And the street looks so forlorn. And a very energetic, talented young artist named Josh Wingirter did something about it. He decided to go down there and paint atop the boards that are over all the restaurant windows. He has a wonderful sort of pop graffiti style. Imagine some blend of Andy Warhol and Banksy. And he went down there and began stenciling on top of the plywood sheets. And he arrived at a couple of wonderful, wonderful images. His picture of Louis Armstrong wearing blue rubber gloves with a surgical mask stretched over the bell of his trumpet is one of the great images of the coronavirus era. He spelled out "Love Nola" in stacks of toilet paper. He interpreted nurses as superheroes, and James Booker carrying a sign that says 6 feet, y'all. It's just terrific. And I went down this morning, so he's been doing this for the last several days, stretching out to Royal Street now. And I went down this morning just to see what the reaction was, and there were people everywhere. At any one time, there were half a dozen people standing around taking pictures, looking at the artworks. His outdoor art gallery was a big success.
Well, thank you so much. And now, though, let's move on actually to another artist who also works around the town, artist Phil Sandusky.
This is quite a dramatic view today. The old buildings set against the modern buildings, quite beautiful. I generally paint all around the city, but I'm coming down here because I just heard that it's easy to park, and usually I can't paint in the warehouse district or the CBD because it's all parked up with meter parking. There's nobody around here. Every now and then someone will walk by, but everybody keeps safe distance, and this is perfectly safe right here. It's a fluid situation though, of course, to say the least. As an artist, The marketing venues for me have dried up for the time being, but there's no reason I can't do my thing, which is to paint. So it's just business for me as usual, more or less. I don't envy people who have a job that they love and right now they can't do it at all. I'm particularly lucky right now, to be able to just sort of be unaffected. But in general, I mean, this is a great job being an artist,
Check out Phil Sandusky's website, philsandusky.com. Doug, you wanted to add a PS to that?
Yeah, just a great painter. For those of you who crave just that consummate skill, he's your man. Terrific stuff.
Thank you, Doug. And now it's time to move on to Alan Smason of theatercriticism.com and the Crescent City Jewish News. Alan?
Well, Peggy, we've got a lot to get to. First of all, I want to let everybody know that it was announced this week that the New Orleans Shakespeare Festival's entire 2020 season will be moved, like the Olympics, to 2021. They will have the season for this year next year. Tulane officials are still mulling over what to do about Summer Lyric at Tulane. No official announcement yet, but we're being respectful and waiting for them to make an announcement about what's happening with the rest of the season. Meanwhile, the Tennessee Williams Theater Company of New Orleans has announced that their summer production of Summer and Smoke is being postponed to later in the year. Le Petit, no word yet, but they're still mulling over what to do. Hopefully they'll have some ideas as soon as things are more finalized with the state and the city. Now, from the Broadway League, Charlotte St. Martin, the president, announced that the June 7th opening date that they talked about for Broadway to reopen was really not the date for the theaters to reopen, but that was the date for theater refunds to be made in their entirety, and really didn't do more with tickets, etc. She said that in reality, they are going to take at least 6 weeks to get mobilized again once the go-ahead signal is given, and she said that the earliest opportunity for Broadway theaters to really reopen will be in September or possibly October. That's going to affect us here locally because we are going to probably be following a bit of their model as to how we're going to be opening up in stages, etc. Now, coming up tonight, the No Pants Shakespeare group is presenting Shakespeare's The Tempest. Those of you who saw the last production of As You Like It know how nicely they do that. Those of you who miss it tonight, you'll be able to see it in its entirety starting tomorrow on the YouTube channel. Just look up No Pants Shakespeare. You'll find it there. This week, I was very fortunate to be able to speak with 4 local critics on our NOLA Theater Talk live stream. And that, of course, is live streamed to NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group and theatercriticism.com's Facebook support page. I was able to meet with Bruce Burgun, Ted Main, Jim O'Quinn, Bradford Rhines, and of course, we were also joined by none other than Christopher Rawson from Pittsburgh, who is the historian for the American Theater Critics Association, who joined our conversation. Chris was the guy who actually coined the term Pittsburgh cycle for the August Wilson cycle of plays. Tonight, we'll have Kaylo Gao in our stream. That'll be the lady who works at UNO now in the theater department there, and talking about her Dark Nights musical that premiered here. And also the National World War II Museum stage door canteen lady in charge, as you were, Erica Jensen, will have several of the figures who are going to be associated with her in the coming months and year to come. Also, we wanted to make sure that you get a chance to see this Monday night. We're going to be discussing with mental health professionals the mental health challenges to our theater community locally, the fact that actors who are generally extroverted are stifled in their creativity, shut in, isolationistic, etc. We're going to have all of that discussed by Amy Alvarez, who is an actress herself and a cabaret performer, Sarah Zogby from Southern Rep, who is just graduating from Loyola University as a therapist, and Catherine Nathan, who works in the health field of mental health and will hopefully be giving us some professional advice on how people can cope during this period. This week, again, we have a lot of different choices for things to see streaming. On the pbs.org site, I'm happy to report that Alfred Molina's Red, that's the production of the John Logan piece about Mark Rothko, will be up. That's a Tony Award winner for the best play in 2010. You'll see that on pbs.org. And for those of you who watched the Royal Albert Hall production of Phantom of the Opera last week, this week, Lloyd Webber's The Shows Must Go On is putting on the follow-up, Love Never Dies. That will be a big, big production. 21 orchestra members, 300 costumes, 36 cast members, and it's led by Ben Lewis and Anna Byrne as the Phantom and Christine Daae, respectively. It won big awards for Best Costumes, Best Lighting, and Best Scenic Design. And also this Sunday, don't forget, Stephen Sondheim's 90th birthday celebration is going to be on tap, and you'll see that at 7 o'clock here in New Orleans. Some of the people who are going to be joining, Meryl Streep, Bernadette Peters, Patti LuPone, Audra McDonald, Kristen Chenoweth, Mandy Patinkin, Sutton Foster, Brian Stokes-Mitchell, Kelly O'Hara, and Stephen Schwartz, an all-star lineup. And again, you can't miss that. It's going to be this Sunday night. That's all for now, Peggy.
And now it's time for our picks of the week. Poppy.
I love our friends at Louisiana Fish Fry. They've got a great project for everybody this weekend. If you can't afford to give of your own pocket, you can make a little video. It's something they're doing called Let's Sing Louisiana. You sing one chorus of You Are My Sunshine, upload it to Facebook, and they give away 100 meals to a local food bank for every submission they get.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Doug.
Oh gosh, the Jazz Fest isn't going to happen this year, but the poster is, and that interests me. Scott Guillaume created a poster called Hoodoo Heaven that depicts Dr. John in this sort of dreamy, heavenly landscape, and I think it's the perfect poster to own for the festival that doesn't take place.
Oh yes, Ian.
I think most people out there are familiar with Barrow's Shady Inn. It was one of the longest running Black-owned restaurants in New Orleans and served just the most divine fried catfish ever. Well, the family reincarnated that restaurant in 2018 with Barrow's Catfish on Earhart Boulevard, not far from Carrollton and Claiborne, that intersection there. And like we talked about earlier, it's a place that shut down and then came back. They just reopened just before Easter. Wonderful plates of fried catfish delivered to your car. Kind of modern car hop service, if you can imagine it. So check out Barrow's Catfish.
Sounds good. And now it's time for Alan Smason's pick of the week.
Peggy, for my pick, I wanted to let everybody know that the Stratford Festival in Canada has canceled, but they're putting on a series of Shakespeare plays, and they're doing it by themes. The first theme is going to be social order and leadership. They're starting off with King Lear, April the 23rd to May the 14th. Then following up next week, April the 30th to May the 21st with Coriolanus. And then finally, the Scottish play Macbeth, May 7th to the 28th. That's all for now, Peggy. See you at the theater.
And now my picks of the week. Allison Parker of Rick Rack NOLA, a local nonprofit, and the costumers with the local 478 Film Union, those costumers have all teamed together to make masks for local hospitals and first responders. They're now making the masks, though, available to everyone. So you can purchase them. They're just $12. All you have to do for more information is go to masks478costumes@gmail.com. And I know many of us are missing Jazz Fest, but tomorrow from 10 a.m. to midnight, WYES is going to show food and music-related specials. Highlights include the documentary Satchmo in New Orleans and the Creole Pioneer show called Mystery of the Purple Rose. You can go to WYES.org for a full schedule, but to kick the day off tomorrow at 10 a.m., we're going to have our first ever watch party online. Chef Kevin Belton will have a show focusing on Jazz Fest food-related dishes, and that's going to be on the air tomorrow, but you can catch it online and sign up to actually have a Q&A with Kevin throughout the show and maybe just a little while after. So all you have to do is go to WYES.org to sign up. You can even register now. Once again, 10 a.m. for Kevin's show, and all the way from 10 a.m. to midnight with lots and lots of music specials. You all, thank you all so very much. It's been a quick half hour, and thank you very much for watching. Good night.
This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area. Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich. To commemorate the founding of New Orleans in 1718, WYES presents this tricentennial moment in celebration of our city's past and present.
For more than 50 years, Alan Toussaint spread the sound of the Crescent City around the world. He's been called one of the most influential New Orleans musicians of the 20th century. But despite that, was soft-spoken and humble. His music did the talking for him. Toussaint grew up in the Gerttown neighborhood of New Orleans and started playing music at the age of 15. He scored his first hit when he was only 20. He wrote and produced songs for the greats, Irma Thomas, Ernie Cato, Lee Dorsey, and Benny Spellman. Toussaint also collaborated with bigger acts, Paul McCartney and Wings, LaBelle, Glenn Campbell, Elvis Costello, and many more. As a songwriter who composed nearly 1,000 songs during his lifetime, Toussaint said he found his inspiration everywhere.
Everyday life is inspirational if you're just open to it and enjoy the day and enjoy the scenes and interaction with people as they interact with each other.
More comfortable behind the scenes, Toussaint stepped into the spotlight after Hurricane Katrina, performing across the country. He won a special Grammy Award, was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and was awarded a National Medal of the Arts by President Obama in 2013. Toussaint's love for music kept him recording and touring right up until his death after a performance in Madrid, Spain in 2015. His memorial service at the Orpheum Theater in New Orleans featured some of the most beloved names in music. They and an extraordinary collection of fans took part in the traditional New Orleans second line that followed.
WYES's New Orleans Tricentennial Moments are brought to you by the Miro Foundation and presented in association with the Historic New Orleans Collection.